This area of southern China is known as the Lufeng Basin. And 180 million years ago, it was a vast natural hollow into which waters from all the surrounding hills flowed. And with those streams came sediment, which is now this. And they also brought the bodies of the animals that lived in those hills, including creatures like this one.
Earth does not remember beginnings the way humans do. There are no clear starting lines carved into stone, no first pages preserved in rock. Instead, there is only motion, heat, pressure, time folding in on itself again and again. For most of its existence, the planet was silent in a way that feels almost unimaginable today. No cities, no machines, no voices shaping the surface with intention. Only wind moving across empty land, oceans breathing beneath alien skies, and life responding blindly to forces it did not understand. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth formed from chaos, collisions, molten rock, constant impact. The surface was hostile, unstable, and violent. There was no ground to build on, no atmosphere to breathe, no calm state to settle into. Yet even in this instability, chemistry continued its slow work. Atoms bonded, molecules formed, energy flowed, and somewhere within this turbulence, life began. For billions of years, life remained small, microbial, invisible to the naked eye. It spread quietly through oceans and sediments, altering the planet in ways that would only become obvious much later. Oxygen accumulated, atmospheres shifted, climates transformed. Yet, through all of this, there was no intention, no design, no species attempting to control its surroundings. Life adapted, but it did not plan. Complex life eventually emerged. Bodies grew larger, senses sharpened. Ecosystems became intricate networks of competition and balance. Predators hunted. Prey evolved defenses. Forests reshaped the air itself. Reefs built vast underwater structures, stone by stone, organism by organism. From a distance, it may seem like progress, but from within, it was simply survival repeating itself in different forms. For hundreds of millions of years, the dominant creatures on land were reptiles of extraordinary size and diversity. They ruled environments that humans can barely imagine, climates warmer than today, oxygen levels higher, continents arranged in unfamiliar patterns. And yet, despite their dominance, despite their longevity, something never happened. They never built. There were no settlements spreading across plains, no systematic reshaping of rivers, no controlled release of stored energy, no evidence of organized extraction from the crust. Life flourished, but it did so within biological limits. Evolution favored bodies, not machines. Teeth, claws, armor, speed. Intelligence existed, but it was bound tightly to instinct and immediate survival. This is where the question begins to form, not as fantasy, but as tension. Earth hosted life for nearly 4 billion years before humans. Complex animals existed for hundreds of millions of those years. Intelligence appeared in many forms, and yet civilization appeared only once. Why? The idea of a civilization before humans does not come from science. It comes from discomfort, from the feeling that such a vast stretch of time must have produced something similar before us. It feels unreasonable that humanity could be the first, that all this time passed without another attempt, that we are not inheritors but pioneers. But nature does not care what feels reasonable. Civilization is not a natural outcome. It is a specific condition, a rare alignment of traits and circumstances. It requires not only intelligence, but a particular kind of intelligence, one that abstracts, that plans beyond generations, that reshapes environments rather than adapting to them. It requires bodies capable of fine manipulation, social structures capable of cooperation at massive scale, and environments that reward innovation instead of stability. For most of Earth's history, stability was success. Ecosystems that remained balanced persisted. Species that fit their niches survived. There was no evolutionary pressure pushing life toward machines or cities. In fact, such traits would have been liabilities. Complexity costs energy. Experimentation risks failure. Biology favors efficiency, not ambition. Then something changed. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but subtly. Climates began to fluctuate more intensely. Environments became less predictable. Survival depended less on physical dominance and more on adaptability. Small changes in behavior started to matter. Memory extended. Cooperation deepened. Tools improved incrementally. Fire was no longer feared. It was controlled. This was not civilization yet, but it was movement toward a threshold. The crucial detail is this. Once that threshold is crossed, the planet changes with it. Civilization does not remain invisible. It does not coexist quietly with nature for long. It accelerates. It spreads. It leaves marks that biology alone does not produce. Carbon locked away for millions of years is released. Metals are concentrated unnaturally. Landscapes are reshaped faster than erosion can erase them. Extinction rates spike. Climate systems destabilize. These are not subtle effects, and this is where Earth speaks clearly. There is no earlier layer in the geological record that shows these signals before humans. No abrupt industrial carbon release long before agriculture, no unexplained global metal redistribution, no synthetic chemistry embedded in ancient sediments. No repeating pattern of planetary disruption consistent with technological activity. The planet bears scars, many of them. Asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes, mass extinctions, climate collapses. But all of these scars carry the signature of natural forces. None carry the unmistakable fingerprint of intention. This absence matters, not because it proves impossibility, but because Earth is an excellent archivist of catastrophe. Sudden changes are recorded. Rapid disruptions stand out. Civilization, by its nature, would be one of the most disruptive forces a planet can experience. If it had happened before, even briefly, the signal would be difficult to erase entirely. Yet the record remains silent. This silence does not mean nothing happened. it means nothing like us happened. There were no cities swallowed whole without trace, no machines rusted into nothingness without chemical echoes, no forgotten empires ground so completely into dust that even their environmental impact vanished. What existed instead was a long, uninterrupted biological story, life adapting within limits, rising and falling without ever crossing the line into planetary engineering. Humans did not inherit civilization. They invented it, and they did so late. This timing is not accidental. It is the result of countless constraints finally aligning. Anatomy that allowed precision, cognition that supported abstraction, social bonds strong enough to scale, and environmental pressures that rewarded innovation over equilibrium. Remove any one of these elements and civilization stalls before it begins. This is why the idea of pre-human civilization feels tempting but collapses under scrutiny. It assumes that intelligence naturally seeks dominance, that complexity inevitably rises, that time guarantees repetition. Earth shows the opposite. Time resists repetition. For billions of years, life remained content with biology. Only once did it cross into something else. Only once did it begin writing its presence into the planet itself. This does not make humans destined. It makes them fragile. Civilization is not Earth's default state. It is an anomaly, a thin layer resting on deep silence, a brief experiment unfolding against the weight of geological time. Before humans, there was no forgotten golden age. There was no lost technological dawn. There was only life, learning slowly, failing often, and never quite stepping beyond itself, until now. And that is the true weight of the question. Not whether others came before us, but whether what we have built will last long enough to become part of Earth's memory at all. Civilization begins long before cities appear, long before walls rise or fields are planted. It begins in the mind, but not in the way humans like to imagine, not as inspiration or genius or sudden awareness. It begins as pressure. Pressure applied again and again by an environment that refuses to remain stable. For most of Earth's history, stability was survival. Ecosystems that changed slowly allowed species to specialize. Bodies evolved to fit precise niches. Intelligence beyond immediate problem-solving offered little advantage. Instinct worked. Repetition worked. Memory beyond a single lifetime was unnecessary. This is why intelligence alone does not lead to civilization. The planet has produced intelligent life many times. Creatures capable of learning, planning, communicating, even recognizing themselves. Yet none of them crossed the threshold. None of them reshaped the planet. None of them broke free from biological limits. Civilization requires something more fragile and more dangerous than intelligence. It requires abstraction, the ability to imagine futures that do not yet exist, the ability to store knowledge outside the body, the ability to cooperate with strangers across vast distances of time and space. This ability does not evolve easily. It carries risks. Imagination allows fear. Memory allows regret. Long-term planning allows anxiety. Biology often selects against these traits unless conditions demand them. For millions of years, conditions did not. Earth's ecosystems rewarded balance. Forests regulated climate. Oceans absorbed carbon. Food webs stabilized populations. In such systems, innovation was unnecessary. Species that remained efficient thrived. Those that experimented often failed. Then the balance began to fracture. Climate variability increased. Ice ages advanced and retreated. Coastlines shifted. Habitats fragmented. Populations were isolated and reunited again and again. Survival began to depend less on specialization and more on flexibility. This is where intelligence changed shape. Not bigger brains alone, but brains wired for learning, for imitation, for storing experiences beyond instinct, behaviors that could change within a lifetime rather than across generations. Tools appeared, not as inventions, but as extensions of survival. Stones sharpened by chance. Sticks selected for reach. Fire tamed slowly, reluctantly, after countless failures. Each step carried risk, burns, starvation, death. But each success carried memory. Memory changed everything. When behavior could be passed on without genetics, evolution accelerated. Culture began to move faster than biology. Knowledge stopped resetting with each generation. Mistakes were remembered. Successes repeated. This process did not create civilization immediately. It created momentum, and momentum is visible in the record. Stone tools appear gradually, improving over immense spans of time, not suddenly, not mysteriously. Each refinement builds on the last. No gaps, no lost techniques. No sudden leaps backward or forward that suggest interference from an earlier advanced lineage. This continuity is critical. Civilization does not emerge from nothing. It emerges from accumulation. Each layer rests on the one before it, and remove earlier layers, and the structure collapses. This is why the absence of pre-human civilization matters, not because cities are missing, but because precursors are missing. There is no abandoned staircase leading upward before humans, no half-built foundation buried beneath deeper time. There is only a long, slow climb that begins with early humans and nowhere else. Civilization also requires bodies capable of precision. Minds alone are insufficient. Without fine motor control, tools remain crude. Without the ability to manipulate small objects consistently, technology stalls. Many intelligent species lack this capability. Hooves, flippers, claws, beaks, these forms succeed biologically, but they constrain technological pathways. The environment may shape intelligence, but anatomy limits expression. Humans possessed an unusual combination. Upright posture freed the hands. Thumbs allowed precision. Endurance favored planning over speed. Vocal anatomy enabled complex communication. None of these traits were inevitable. They emerged through coincidence, layered upon coincidence. Earth did not aim for this outcome. It stumbled into it. Social structure was the final ingredient. Cooperation beyond kin. Trust between unrelated individuals, shared rules enforced by collective belief rather than physical dominance. This is where civilization truly separates from biology. Animals cooperate, but usually within narrow limits: packs, herds, colonies. These systems are powerful but rigid. Humans developed flexible cooperation. Alliances that could scale, adapt, and survive individual deaths. This allowed knowledge to outlive its creators. Once knowledge became external and cumulative, civilization was no longer avoidable. It was delayed only by energy. Energy is the gatekeeper. Without dense energy sources, civilization remains limited. Human societies stayed small for tens of thousands of years, despite intelligence and tools. Growth was constrained by muscle. Fire expanded that limit slightly. Agriculture expanded it further. Each expansion left traces. Fields replaced forests. Soils changed composition. Species distributions shifted. Extinction rates increased locally. These changes are visible. They are datable. They align with human presence. No such alignment exists earlier. This is the silent contradiction at the heart of pre-human civilization theories. They imagine advanced societies without consequences, technology without footprint, intelligence without disruption. This does not match reality. Even small-scale human groups altered their environments. Megafauna disappeared. Fire reshaped landscapes. Vegetation patterns shifted. If humans left marks this early, any earlier civilization would have left more. Yet the record remains clean. This does not imply perfection. It implies absence. Earth remembers pressure. It remembers imbalance. It remembers sudden change. Civilization, by definition, creates all three. Before humans, change happened slowly or catastrophically, never strategically. This distinction is subtle but absolute. Volcanoes release carbon, but they do not reorganize ecosystems intentionally. Asteroids cause extinctions, but they do not build roads or mine ore. Glaciers reshape land, but they do not concentrate metals. Only civilization does these things, and it does them quickly. This speed is crucial. Slow processes blend into background noise. Rapid ones stand out. As civilization accelerates, change faster than geology can smooth it away. That acceleration appears only once. The question then shifts. Not did civilization exist before humans, but why did it not? The answer is not lack of time. Earth had plenty. The answer is constraint. Intelligence without instability stagnates. Bodies without dexterity limit expression. Societies without scalable trust collapse. Environments without pressure reward equilibrium. For billions of years, Earth provided life with stability. Only recently did it offer instability sharp enough to demand something else. Civilization is not progress, it is response. A response to unpredictability, to scarcity, to pressure that biology alone could no longer solve. This reframes the narrative completely. Humans are not the culmination of a long technological trend. They are the first to encounter conditions severe enough to force civilization into existence. This is why no earlier version appears in the record, not because it was erased, but because it was never required. Nature does not innovate without need. Before humans, life survived comfortably within biological limits. Ecosystems absorbed shocks. Feedback loops stabilized extremes. The planet regulated itself. Civilization emerges when regulation fails, when environments fluctuate faster than genes can adapt, when memory becomes more valuable than muscle, when cooperation outperforms dominance. These conditions align rarely. They aligned once, and when they did, the planet changed. This is not a story of lost greatness. It is a story of delayed emergence. Civilization was not hidden beneath the past. It was waiting for the future. And when it finally appeared, it did not whisper. It began rewriting the world. Time is the quiet force that defeats most imagination. It stretches events so far apart that cause and effect lose their shape. What feels ancient to a human mind is barely a moment to the planet. What feels permanent is temporary. What feels erased is often only buried, transformed or forgotten, beneath scales we are not built to perceive. Earth operates on these scales effortlessly. Mountains rise slowly, then vanish. Oceans appear, then drain away. Entire continents collide, fuse, and tear apart again. Nothing on the surface remains fixed. Even the crust itself is restless, drifting atop deeper currents of heat and pressure. This restlessness is the reason the planet forgets. The surface of Earth is not a museum, it is a machine. It recycles, it grinds, it melts, it subducts. Anything left exposed is eventually erased. Anything buried is compressed, altered, or destroyed. The longer time stretches, the less survives. This is often used to argue that a pre-human civilization could have existed and simply been erased by geology. But this misunderstands how geological memory works. Earth does not preserve details well, but it preserves disruption extremely well. Sudden changes in chemistry, abrupt shifts in climate, rapid extinctions, these leave marks that endure for hundreds of millions of years, not as buildings or artifacts, but as signatures written into stone. The asteroid that ended the age of dinosaurs left a thin global layer rich in iridium. Volcanoes that reshaped the climate during the Permian left massive basalt flows still visible today. Ancient oxygenation events are recorded in the color of rocks across continents. Earth forgets slowly applied change. It remembers shock. Civilization is shock. Even the earliest human societies altered landscapes faster than natural systems could compensate. Fire spread intentionally. Forests were cleared. Animals vanished. Rivers were redirected. These changes appear suddenly in the archaeological and environmental record. This suddenness is key. Natural processes tend to act gradually or catastrophically. Civilization acts strategically and continuously. It pushes systems in one direction without pause. That sustained pressure leaves a pattern unlike anything else. This pattern does not appear before humans. Before civilization, change happened in pulses. Ice ages advanced and retreated. Climates oscillated, species migrated, ecosystems adapted or collapsed. Then balance returned or a new balance formed. There was no long-term directional pressure imposed by intelligence. This is the distinction between biological and technological influence. Biology responds to environment. Technology reshapes it. For most of Earth's history, life responded. This is why deep time matters so much in this question. Not because it hides evidence, but because it amplifies patterns over millions of years. Random noise averages out. Only persistent forces remain visible. Civilization would be one of the most persistent forces imaginable. If a pre-human civilization had existed for even a few thousand years at scale, it would stand out against the background of deep time like a scar that never fully healed. Yet there is no such scar. Instead, the record shows continuity and biological continuity. So, gradual transitions, evolutionary branching, extinctions followed by recovery, driven by natural selection, not design. This continuity is not empty. It is rich with information. The fossil record shows the rise and fall of countless species. It shows experimentation by evolution, strange forms, dead ends, bursts of diversity, and long periods of stasis. But it never shows a sudden emergence of technological behavior outside the human lineage. There is no moment where the rules change and then revert. Civilization does not revert quietly. Once a species begins altering the planet intentionally, it does not stop without collapse, and collapse leaves its own signature. Human collapse scenarios illustrate this clearly. Even if humanity vanished tomorrow, the planet would remember. Carbon levels would remain elevated for tens of thousands of years. Plastics would fragment but persist. Radioactive isotopes would decay slowly. Extinction patterns would remain frozen in the fossil record. Future geologists would see a boundary. No such boundary exists earlier. This does not mean Earth is complete. It means it is consistent. The argument that civilization could have existed and left no trace requires a very specific scenario. A civilization advanced enough to reshape its environment, yet restrained enough to leave no lasting impact. Large enough to qualify as civilization, yet small enough to remain invisible, technologically capable, yet chemically silent. Such a civilization would violate everything known about energy, entropy, and complex systems. Energy use always leaves waste. Organization always produces byproducts. Control always alters surroundings. Even the most efficient theoretical systems cannot escape this. They only minimize it. Nature does not offer free lunches. This is why geology becomes a filter. Not because it erases all possibilities, but because it rejects those that conflict with physical reality. Deep time is not the enemy of evidence. It is its judge. The longer time passes, the more only the strongest signals remain. Weak signals fade. Strong ones persist. Civilization is not a weak signal. This brings the question into sharper focus. If civilization did not exist before humans, then humanity represents something genuinely new in Earth's history. Not a repetition, not a rediscovery, but a first. This idea is unsettling because it removes comfort. There is no ancient blueprint to follow, no forgotten wisdom guaranteeing survival, no cycle ensuring rebirth after collapse. There is only uncertainty. Earth has hosted intelligence before, but intelligence without civilization leaves no deep scar. Intelligence without technology remains part of the biological flow. Civilization steps outside that flow. It introduces purpose into systems that evolved without it. This is why Earth remembers asteroids and volcanoes, but not intentions. Until now, humans have introduced intention into geology. Not consciously at first, not deliberately, but inevitably. Burning fossil carbon was not planned as planetary engineering. It emerged from local needs: warmth, light, power. Yet, scaled globally, it became a geological force. This scaling effect is unavoidable. Any civilization that reaches beyond local survival becomes global in consequence, not by choice, but by accumulation. This accumulation is what geology records. And again, it appears only once. Deep time does not hide civilizations. It exposes them. It smooths edges, but it amplifies disruption. It blurs detail, but it sharpens contrast. When viewed through this lens, the silence before humans becomes meaningful. Not mysterious, not suggestive, but informative. Earth did not forget a pre-human civilization. It never met one. The planet waited billions of years before producing a species capable of forcing its memory into stone. That species arrived late, fragile, uncertain, driven not by destiny, but by pressure. Civilization is not Earth's legacy. It is its experiment. And deep time has only just begun observing the result. To understand why the idea of a civilization before humans persists, it is necessary to understand how humans relate to time and absence. Silence invites imagination. Gaps invite stories. When the past stretches so far beyond memory, it begins to feel incomplete, as if something must be missing. But absence is not emptiness. Absence can be information. Earth's history is not blank. It is crowded, layered, dense with events. Every era leaves behind a texture, a rhythm, a pattern of change that reflects the forces shaping it. When something fundamentally new appears, that rhythm breaks. Civilization would be such a break. It would represent a transition from natural feedback loops to intentional ones, from adaptation to control, from participation in ecosystems to domination over them. This shift is not subtle. It redefines how energy moves through the planet. Before civilization, energy flowed through biological channels. Sunlight became plant matter. Plant matter fed animals. Waste returned nutrients to soil and sea. Feedback loops maintained balance, even when disrupted by catastrophe. Civilization interrupts these loops. It extracts energy faster than systems can replenish it. It concentrates materials that were once dispersed. It creates long chains of cause and effect, disconnected from local ecosystems. These changes do not remain local for long. This is why the search for pre-human civilization does not focus on ruins. It focuses on energy. Energy use is civilization's fingerprint. Humans did not invent energy use, but they invented energy amplification. Fire multiplied calories, agriculture multiplied food production, fossil fuels multiplied power beyond any biological scale. Each amplification step left a deeper imprint. If such amplification had occurred before, it would appear as an anomaly in the planet's long energy balance. No such anomaly exists. Earth's climate history is well studied. Ice cores preserve atmospheric composition. Sediment layers record temperature shifts. Fossil assemblages reveal ecosystem stress. Volcanic activity, orbital cycles, and asteroid impacts explain known disruptions. There is no unexplained energy spike that demands a technological explanation. This absence does not depend on perfection of data. It depends on consistency across independent records. Multiple lines of evidence converge on the same conclusion. Natural forces account for observed changes. There is no gap large enough to hide a civilization. This is where the Silurian hypothesis becomes important, not as speculation, but as method. It asks a simple question. If an industrial civilization existed millions of years ago, what would remain today? The answer is not buildings, not machines, not written records. The answer is chemistry. Industrial activity alters isotope ratios. It redistributes carbon. It changes nitrogen cycles. It introduces novel compounds. Even if structures vanish, these chemical fingerprints persist. Scientists have searched for them. They have found none that cannot be explained by natural processes. This does not close the door completely. It narrows it. Any hypothetical pre-human civilization must now fit within extremely tight constraints. It must use energy without altering climate, manufacture without leaving waste, grow without reshaping ecosystems, and collapse without leaving residue. This is not impossible in theory, but it is incompatible with everything known about physics and complex systems. Civilization is not magic. It obeys thermodynamics. Entropy demands waste. Order requires energy. Efficiency has limits. These limits do not bend to intention. Even the most advanced theoretical civilizations imagined by physicists must export entropy somewhere. They must alter their environment to maintain structure. A civilization that leaves no trace is indistinguishable from no civilization at all. This is not a philosophical statement. It is a practical one. Science does not evaluate what might feel possible. It evaluates what leaves evidence. This brings the discussion back to Earth itself. Earth is not a passive backdrop. It is an active participant. It responds to pressure. It records imbalance. It preserves transitions. Mass extinctions are preserved because they are abrupt. Oxygenation events are preserved because they alter chemistry globally. Even short-lived volcanic pulses leave distinct layers. Civilization would do the same. Before humans, the planet experienced many disasters. None show the signature of intent. Volcanoes release carbon, but they do so episodically. Civilizations release carbon continuously. Asteroids cause extinctions, but they do not restructure ecosystems afterward. Civilizations do. Natural warming and cooling cycles follow predictable rhythms. Industrial warming breaks those rhythms. These distinctions are not subtle. They are measurable. And again, they appear only once. This uniqueness is uncomfortable because it places responsibility entirely on the present. There is no previous example to follow. No historical reassurance that civilization can rise, fall, and rise again without permanent loss. Earth's history offers no evidence of recovery from technological collapse because it offers no evidence of technological collapse. This forces a re-evaluation of how rare civilization may be, not just on Earth, but anywhere. If 4 billion years of life on a dynamic planet produced only one civilization, then civilization is not a default outcome. It is a narrow path through countless failed possibilities. This realization does not make humans exceptional in worth. It makes their circumstances exceptional in fragility. Civilization is not robust. It depends on stability, even as it undermines it. It relies on resources it depletes. It requires cooperation it strains. These contradictions are not moral, they are structural. If a pre-human civilization had existed, it would have faced the same constraints. Physics does not grant exceptions across eras. It would have either stabilized itself indefinitely or collapsed. Indefinite stability would require ongoing planetary management. Collapse would leave scars. Neither outcome appears in the record. This does not mean the planet is hostile to civilization. It means civilization is a transient phenomenon, unless actively sustained. Earth does not favor it. It tolerates it briefly. The question then shifts from what existed before to what can exist after. If humanity fails, will another civilization arise millions of years later? The geological record suggests this is unlikely. Not because intelligence cannot evolve again, but because the easy energy has been spent. Fossil fuels are a one-time inheritance, and once burned, they do not regenerate on meaningful timescales. Future species would inherit a depleted planet, altered climates, reduced biodiversity, fewer accessible resources. The window that allowed human civilization may close behind it. This possibility casts the silence of the past in a new light. Perhaps civilization did not arise earlier because the conditions were not yet right, and perhaps it may not arise again because those conditions will not return. This makes humanity not the middle chapter of a repeating story, but a singular moment, a brief flare of complexity in a long biological continuum. This is not a narrative of dominance. It is a narrative of contingency. Everything about civilization depends on timing, on sequence, on fragile alignments that could easily have failed. Had the asteroid not struck 66 million years ago, mammals may never have diversified. Had climates remained stable, intelligence may never have been selected. Had anatomy evolved differently, tools may never have progressed. Earth did not aim for civilization. It stumbled into it, and once stumbled into, it became unavoidable. This perspective removes the romance from pre-human civilizations. It replaces it with something more sobering. There was no lost golden age. There was preparation without awareness. Billions of years of life, building the conditions for something that would only appear at the very end. Civilization is not ancient wisdom resurfacing. It is a newborn force, learning how to exist on a planet that does not care whether it survives. Before humans, the Earth was alive, dynamic, and resilient. After humans, it became intentional. This shift marks the true boundary in deep time, not between eras or species, but between a planet shaped by blind processes and one reshaped by choice. That boundary appears only once, and it is here. When humans search for lost civilizations, they often imagine ruins, stone walls swallowed by jungle, towers collapsed into sand, monuments waiting to be uncovered. This image is comforting because it fits human experience. History, to us, is something physical that can be rediscovered if we dig deep enough. But this intuition fails completely when applied to deep time. The fossil record does not work like memory. It works like chance. Most life that has ever existed left no trace at all. Bodies decay, bones scatter, tissues dissolve. Only under rare conditions does preservation occur. Rapid burial, low oxygen, chemical stability. Even then, preservation is incomplete. Fragments survive. Outlines, impressions, never the whole. This alone reshapes how the question of pre-human civilization must be approached. If even animals struggle to fossilize, then cities have almost no chance. Concrete crumbles, metals oxidize, glass fractures. Organic materials vanish quickly. Given enough time, structures become indistinguishable from sediment. But this does not mean civilization would vanish without a trace, because civilization is not defined by structures. It is defined by transformation. Human cities are impressive, but they are not the most durable legacy of civilization. The most durable legacy is how civilization rearranges the planet's material flows, how it moves carbon, metals, nitrogen, and energy in unnatural ways. These movements do not rely on buildings to persist. They rely on chemistry. This is where the fossil record expands beyond bones and shells into something far more powerful. The record of environments, of soils, of oceans, of atmospheres. Long before humans understood climate, the planet was recording it. Layers of sediment preserve temperature. Ratios of isotopes reveal atmospheric composition. Fossil pollen records, vegetation, ocean sediments track acidity and oxygen levels. Extinction layers mark biological stress. This is the true archive of Earth, and it is in this archive that civilization would be impossible to hide. Even the earliest human activities are visible here, long before writing, long before metallurgy, long before cities. Fire use altered landscapes, charcoal layers appear, vegetation patterns shift, megafauna disappear shortly after human arrival on new continents. These changes are debated in detail, but the pattern is clear. Humans arrived. Ecosystems changed rapidly. This occurred when human populations were tiny compared to today. This is the critical insight. If small numbers of early humans left detectable planetary signatures, any earlier civilization would have left far more. This is not speculation, it is comparison. Civilization scales impact exponentially. Population growth increases resource use. Resource use drives environmental change. Environmental change feeds back into climate and ecosystems. There is no version of civilization that remains neutral. Even agriculture alone reshapes continents. Soils compact, rivers silt, carbon cycles shift, plant species spread unnaturally. These effects are visible thousands of years later. Before humans, there is no sign of such sustained manipulation. The fossil record shows ecosystems changing, but changing in ways consistent with natural drivers. Climate, tectonics, orbital cycles, volcanic activity, biological evolution. There is no layer where the rules suddenly change and then revert. This absence matters more than any missing ruin. Another misconception fuels belief in pre-human civilization. The idea that fossils represent a complete history. They do not. They represent samples, uneven, biased, incomplete. But bias cuts both ways. The fossil record is biased toward things that survive. Hard parts, durable structures, large populations, widespread effects. Civilization would create exactly the kind of widespread effects that overcome bias. A single city might vanish without trace. A civilization cannot, because it does not act locally for long. It spreads. Humans spread across continents in a geological instant, tens of thousands of years. An eye blink in deep time. Wherever they went, ecosystems shifted, species vanished, fire regimes changed. This rapid expansion is another signature absent before humans. Animal migrations occur, but they do not systematically restructure every ecosystem they touch. Humans did. This distinction is visible in extinction patterns. Background extinction rates are relatively stable. Species disappear slowly as environments change. Mass extinctions spike suddenly due to catastrophe. Human-driven extinctions form a third pattern. Selective, rapid, targeting large animals first, spreading geographically in step with human movement. This pattern appears only once. There is no earlier wave of selective megafaunal collapse linked to an unknown intelligent species. Again, absence becomes information. The fossil record also preserves technological thresholds indirectly. The appearance of controlled fire, the rise of grasslands due to burning, the shift from wild plant diversity to domesticated monocultures. These transitions are sharp. They do not appear before humans. This does not mean early humans were uniquely destructive. It means any species capable of altering environments intentionally will do so, even unintentionally. There is no moral dimension here, only consequence. Nature does not evaluate intention. It records effect. This is why arguments that a pre-human civilization could have lived in harmony with nature fail under scrutiny. Harmony does not mean invisibility. Even the most balanced system leaves a footprint when scaled. A civilization large enough to be called civilization would require food production beyond natural foraging, that requires land conversion, water management, species selection. These leave signatures. No such signatures exist earlier. Another idea often raised is that earlier civilizations may have existed for too short a time to leave traces. This misunderstands how sensitive Earth's systems are. Short-lived does not mean silent. Volcanic eruptions lasting years reshape climate for centuries. Asteroid impacts lasting seconds leave global markers. Duration matters less than intensity. Civilization concentrates intensity. Mining exposes elements never meant to be surface concentrated. Combustion releases carbon rapidly. Waste accumulates faster than decay. Even a few centuries of industrial activity would leave marks detectable millions of years later. Humans have done so already. The fossil record is not waiting for complete certainty. It works with probability. Patterns repeated across independent datasets increase confidence. The probability that a pre-human civilization existed and left no detectable environmental signal is extraordinarily low. This does not require perfect data. It requires consistency, and consistency is exactly what the record shows. Life before humans was dynamic but not directional. Ecosystems rose and fell, but they did not trend toward planetary domination. There is no earlier Anthropocene. There is no earlier technological boundary. There is only the long prelude. This leads to an uncomfortable but powerful conclusion. Civilization is not ancient. It is immature. From a geological perspective, humanity has only just arrived. The planet has barely begun to register its presence. What we think of as history is thinner than a single sediment layer. This perspective changes the emotional weight of the question. There is no forgotten past to rediscover. There is only a future to decide. Earth does not hide civilizations. It absorbs them, and so far it has absorbed only one. This realization reframes the silence before humans, not as mystery, but as warning. For billions of years, life existed without ever crossing this threshold. Once crossed, the consequences are irreversible. Civilization does not reset easily. It either stabilizes itself within planetary limits or collapses and leaves a permanent scar. The fossil record suggests Earth has not yet seen that scar before us, which means the first collapse of civilization may also be the last opportunity for one to exist here at all. Deep time offers no comfort. It offers perspective. It shows that life is resilient. Ecosystems recover. Species diversify again. But it also shows that complexity can vanish permanently. The trilobites never returned. The great reptiles never reclaimed dominance. Entire evolutionary experiments ended forever. Civilization may join them if it fails. Before humans, the planet tried countless forms of life. Only one tried to build a world. And the fossil record is watching to see whether that attempt becomes a lasting layer or a brief anomaly erased by time. Earth has erased worlds before, not through intention, but through indifference. Life on this planet has never been guaranteed continuity. It has been interrupted repeatedly by forces so large they overwhelm adaptation. These moments are called mass extinctions, but that phrase hides their true scale. They are not merely periods of loss. They are moments when the rules of survival change abruptly, when entire strategies that worked for millions of years become useless overnight. There have been many extinctions, but 5 stand apart. Each one removed the majority of life on Earth. Each one reset the biological landscape. Each one demonstrates how fragile complexity truly is when confronted with planetary-scale disruption. The first occurred long before complex life ruled the land. Oxygen flooded the atmosphere, poisoning organisms that had evolved without it. Life survived, but only by transforming itself completely. The planet changed its chemistry, and life was forced to follow. Later extinctions were more violent. Massive volcanic eruptions released unimaginable quantities of gas, altering climate for hundreds of thousands of years. Oceans lost oxygen, temperatures spiked, food chains collapsed. The living world shrank back into simplicity. The most devastating of all came at the end of the Permian period. Nearly all marine species vanished. The land followed soon after. Forests disappeared. Insects collapsed. Vertebrates were reduced to a handful of survivors. The world nearly returned to a microbial state. This matters because mass extinctions reveal something essential about Earth. They show that the planet does not protect complexity. It does not preserve dominance. It does not value intelligence, size, or efficiency. It responds only to energy imbalance. When energy flows change too rapidly, systems break. This is the context in which the idea of pre-human civilization must be placed. Not in isolation, but within a planet that has repeatedly erased even the most successful forms of life. If a civilization had existed before humans, it would have existed on a planet already prone to collapse. It would have faced the same instabilities: volcanic winters, climate oscillations, asteroid threats, ocean chemistry shifts. Civilization is not resilient by default. It depends on predictability. Agriculture depends on stable seasons. Infrastructure depends on stable ground. Long-term planning depends on environments that do not change faster than memory. Mass extinctions destroy predictability. They also destroy continuity. After each extinction, life did not simply resume where it left off. Entire lineages vanished forever. Recovery took millions of years. Ecosystems reassembled in new forms. Dominance shifted. This has profound implications. If a civilization existed before one of these events, it would almost certainly have been destroyed. But destruction alone is not enough to erase it completely. Extinction removes organisms. It does not rewind geology. The asteroid that ended the age of dinosaurs did not erase their presence, it highlighted it. The boundary it created is one of the clearest markers in the geological record. A thin layer of debris spread across the entire planet. A sudden disappearance of species. A clear before and after. Catastrophe amplifies signals. If a civilization had existed and then been wiped out by catastrophe, the record would not be silent. It would be louder. Its infrastructure might be gone, but its environmental disruption would remain frozen at the moment of collapse. Mines abandoned. Fields left fallow. Emissions halted abruptly. Species extinctions halted or accelerated. There would be a signature of interruption. None exists. This is not a matter of interpretation. It is a matter of pattern recognition across deep time. Mass extinctions show consistent structures, rapid loss, abrupt transition, long recovery. No extinction layer shows signs of technological activity preceding it. No extinction is preceded by unusual synthetic chemistry. No sudden appearance of manufactured materials. No unexplained directional environmental stress linked to a species capable of strategy. This absence is especially striking in the most recent extinction events. The extinction that ended the age of dinosaurs occurred only 66 million years ago. Geologically, this is recent. The crust from that time is well preserved. The data is dense. The picture is detailed. There is no sign of civilization. Mammals were small. Birds were primitive. Ecosystems were rich, but biologically constrained. There is no evidence of tool use beyond simple behavior, no fire control, no manipulation of landscapes. This matters because if civilization were a recurring outcome, the window following that extinction would have been ideal. Niches were empty. Competition was reduced. Innovation was rewarded. Yet it still took tens of millions of years for intelligence to reappear in a form capable of abstraction. This suggests that civilization is not simply about opportunity. It is about improbable convergence. Mass extinctions reset life, but they do not accelerate intelligence. In fact, they often delay it by simplifying ecosystems. Recovery prioritizes stability, not experimentation. This reinforces a critical point. Civilization requires not just intelligence, but time uninterrupted by catastrophe. And Earth does not often grant such time. The long, stable periods required for complex societies to form are rare when they do occur. Life tends to optimize biologically rather than culturally. Dinosaurs thrived for over 160 million years without ever developing technology. Not because they were incapable, but because they did not need it. Biological success removed pressure for cognitive escalation. This is the opposite of human evolution. Humans evolved under instability, fluctuating climates, fragmented habitats, unpredictable resources. Pressure favored adaptability over specialization, memory over instinct, cooperation over dominance. This is why civilization emerged when it did. Not because Earth had waited long enough, but because Earth became unstable enough. This reframes mass extinctions not as erasers of lost civilizations, but as inhibitors of civilization itself. They do not hide evidence. They prevent the conditions required for civilization to arise. This is a crucial inversion. Rather than imagining civilizations wiped away by extinctions, the evidence suggests extinctions keep civilization from appearing at all. Only after the planet entered a relatively calm phase did intelligence have space to experiment culturally rather than biologically. Even then, the window was narrow. This explains why there is no long chain of civilizations buried in the past. Not because they rose and fell repeatedly, but because the planet rarely allowed one to rise in the first place. Civilization is not robust against planetary instability. It is vulnerable to it. This vulnerability is visible today. Modern civilization depends on climate stability that existed for only a brief slice of geological time. Agriculture arose during an unusually stable interglacial period. Cities expanded under predictable seasons. Trade networks formed under consistent coastlines. This stability is now ending. The planet is entering a new phase of rapid change, not driven by orbit or volcanoes, but by civilization itself. This is unprecedented. For the first time, the destabilizing force is not external, it is internal. This places humanity in a unique position relative to mass extinctions. Past extinctions were beyond control. Future ones may not be. But this also means future extinctions may carry a new signature, one that deep time has never recorded before. Intentional collapse. If civilization fails, it will not fail like dinosaurs or trilobites. It will fail while altering the planet at the same time. The geological record will show a convergence of biological collapse and technological disturbance. This will be unmistakable. There is no similar convergence earlier in Earth's history. This is another reason pre-human civilization does not appear plausible. The record shows biological collapses and recoveries. It does not show combined biological and technological disruption. The first such signal is forming now. This is not speculation. It is already visible in extinction rates, atmospheric composition, and ocean chemistry. Earth is entering a transition that has no precedent. This brings the discussion full circle. The absence of pre-human civilization is not a mystery to be solved. It is a condition to be understood. The planet did not hide civilizations. It did not erase them. It did not forget them. It simply did not allow them, until now. Civilization exists on a planet that has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to erase complexity without hesitation. This is not a threat. It is a fact written into stone. Mass extinctions are not ancient anomalies. They are reminders of scale. They show that no strategy is permanent. No dominance is secure. No intelligence is immune to physics. The question is no longer whether civilizations existed before humans. The question is whether civilization can survive knowing what Earth has always done to those that fail to adapt to its changing energy balance. Deep time offers no second chances. It offers context. And that context makes one thing clear. If humans are the first civilization on Earth, they may also be the last. Not because civilization is impossible, but because it is easy to break. The idea that dinosaurs or other ancient animals might have built civilizations survives because it feels intuitive. They were dominant. They were diverse. They ruled the planet for far longer than humans have existed. From a distance, it seems almost unfair that such a long reign produced no cities, no machines, no legacy beyond bones. But evolution does not reward fairness. It rewards efficiency within a given environment. Dominance is not the same as direction. Dinosaurs succeeded because they were perfectly adapted to the world they inhabited. Their bodies solved the problems that world presented. Size offered protection. Speed enabled escape. Teeth and claws secured food. Reproduction ensured continuity. None of these solutions required technology. None of them benefited from abstract planning beyond immediate survival. Civilization does not emerge from success. It emerges from constraint. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of evolution. When a strategy works extremely well, there is little incentive to abandon it. Biological systems tend to optimize locally rather than explore radically new paths. Experimentation is costly. Failure is fatal. Intelligence that does not directly increase survival is often selected against. For most of the dinosaur era, the world was stable enough to reward biological solutions. Climates were warm, ecosystems were productive, food webs were robust. There was no persistent pressure pushing life toward technological escalation. This matters because intelligence does not evolve in isolation. It evolves in response to problems that cannot be solved physically. Humans did not develop civilization because they were the smartest animals. They developed it because their bodies were weak, their environments unstable, and their survival uncertain. Intelligence became a compensatory strategy. Dinosaurs did not need compensation. Even among the most cognitively advanced dinosaurs, there is no evidence of behaviors that point toward abstraction. Brain size alone does not tell the full story. Neural organization matters. Sensory priorities matter. Ecological context matters. Most dinosaur intelligence appears to have been oriented toward movement, perception, and instinctual behavior, coordination within species, navigation across landscapes, hunting strategies. None of these require symbolic thought. Symbolic thought is the gateway to civilization. It allows objects to represent ideas, actions to represent intentions, sounds to represent meaning, beyond immediate emotion. Without symbols, there is no language as humans understand it. Without language, there is no cumulative culture. There is no evidence that dinosaurs crossed this threshold. This is not an insult to their intelligence. It is a recognition of specialization. Intelligence evolves toward what is useful, not toward what seems impressive from a human perspective. Another limitation is anatomy. Technology is not just imagined, it is built. That requires precise manipulation of the environment, hands capable of fine motor control, fingers capable of repeated, accurate movements, bodies capable of maintaining posture while working. Most dinosaurs lacked these features entirely. Even species with grasping limbs lacked the combination of dexterity and endurance required for sustained tool use. Indie claws are excellent for tearing and holding prey. They are poor for shaping stone, weaving fibers, or assembling complex structures. This anatomical constraint alone narrows the possibility space dramatically. Civilization requires not just tools, but tool-making that improves across generations. This demands precision and repeatability. Without it, technology stagnates at simple levels. This is why tool use in animals today rarely progresses beyond basic forms. Sticks, stones, shells. These are clever solutions, but they do not accumulate into systems. Accumulation is everything. Without accumulation, there is no staircase to climb. Dinosaurs show no evidence of such a staircase. Their fossil record is rich, extraordinarily rich, spanning continents and environments. If even a small subset of dinosaurs had begun building technologies, signs would appear somewhere. There would be wear patterns on bones indicating repetitive tool use. There would be modified objects, altered landscapes, fire residues, selective resource extraction. None of these appear. Instead, the record shows continuity. The same strategies refined over millions of years. The same ecological roles repeated. Success without innovation. This is not a failure of dinosaurs. It is a demonstration of how unnecessary civilization was for survival during that era. The same logic applies to other ancient life forms. Giant insects, marine reptiles, early mammals. None show evidence of technological behavior. None show directional change toward environmental control. Life experimented widely, but it did not experiment in that direction. This challenges a common assumption that intelligence naturally seeks domination, that given enough time, any intelligent species will build machines. Earth does not support this assumption. Intelligence often stabilizes rather than escalates. Many intelligent species today live in complex societies without technology. Whales communicate across oceans. Elephants maintain social memory across generations. Primates teach behaviors culturally. None of these societies become technological because their environments do not reward it. Civilization is not the natural extension of intelligence. It is a response to vulnerability. This vulnerability appears rarely. In the dinosaur era, vulnerability was minimized by abundance and stability. Large body sizes buffered against predation. Climates supported widespread vegetation. Ecosystems absorbed shocks gradually. When catastrophe finally came, it was sudden and external. An asteroid ended the era not because dinosaurs were fragile, but because no biological strategy can counter planetary impact. This suddenness left no time for technological adaptation. After the extinction, the world changed dramatically. Niches opened. Climates fluctuated. Mammals diversified. But even then, it took tens of millions of years before intelligence capable of abstraction reappeared. This delay matters. It shows that civilization is not an automatic rebound after collapse. It requires very specific evolutionary pathways. Those pathways did not exist before humans. Another misconception is that time alone increases probability, that given hundreds of millions of years, civilization becomes inevitable. Earth contradicts this. For most of its history, time reinforced stability rather than novelty. Ecosystems refined themselves. Feedback loops strengthened. Extremes were dampened. Civilization requires the opposite: instability that disrupts equilibrium without destroying life entirely. This narrow window appears late in Earth's history, and once it appears, it closes quickly. Dinosaurs ruled for over 160 million years. Humans have existed for only a fraction of that time, and civilization for a fraction of that again. Yet in this brief moment, humans have altered the planet more than dinosaurs ever did. This is not because humans are superior. It is because humans crossed a threshold dinosaurs never approached. That threshold is abstraction combined with energy amplification. Dinosaurs lived entirely within the solar-powered biological economy. Plants captured sunlight, animals consumed plants and each other. Energy flowed in loops. Humans broke that loop by accessing stored energy, by burning the past, by extracting concentrated resources. This step changes everything. It allows work to be decoupled from biology. It allows environments to be reshaped faster than ecosystems can respond. This is why civilization leaves such strong signals, and why its absence before humans is so conspicuous. If dinosaurs had developed civilization even briefly, the signal would be unmistakable. Not in ruins, but in chemistry, in extinction patterns, in climate anomalies. None exist. This conclusion does not diminish the wonder of the dinosaur world. It enhances it. It reveals a planet capable of sustaining immense diversity without ever resorting to technological dominance. For most of Earth's history, life thrived without controlling the planet. This is the norm. Civilization is the deviation, and deviations require explanation. The explanation is not lost history, it is evolutionary constraint. Civilization is not the destiny of intelligence. It is the byproduct of a very specific failure of biological sufficiency. Humans did not outcompete nature. They escaped dependence on it. That escape is recent, fragile, incomplete. Dinosaurs never needed it. This realization reframes the entire narrative of progress. It suggests that civilization is not a higher stage of life, but a different mode entirely, one that trades biological resilience for technological power. This trade is risky. Dinosaurs were resilient. They survived climate swings, continental shifts, and ecological competition for millions of years. Humans are powerful, but their power depends on conditions that can change rapidly. This raises a quiet question beneath the larger one. If dinosaurs never needed civilization to thrive, and humans needed it to survive, what does that say about the future? Earth does not reward dominance, it rewards balance. Civilization disrupts balance by definition. The dinosaur era shows that life can flourish without ever crossing this line. It also shows that dominance does not require control. Humans crossed the line because they had to, and once crossed, there was no return. This is why the search for pre-human civilization among dinosaurs leads nowhere. Not because evidence was erased, but because the premise misunderstands evolution. Civilization is not the peak of life. It is a response to limitation. And for most of Earth's history, life was not limited in the ways that would make civilization necessary. Before humans, the planet did not fail life. Life succeeded without us. Only when stability fractured did something new emerge. And that emergence belongs to the present, not the past. Energy is the quiet ruler of all systems. It decides what can exist, how long it can last, and how complex it can become. Biology obeys it. Geology obeys it. Civilizations obey it, even when they believe they have escaped its limits. Before civilization, life on Earth ran almost entirely on a single income: sunlight. Plants captured it. Animals borrowed it briefly. Decomposers returned it to the cycle. Nothing accumulated beyond what the system could absorb. Growth was limited by efficiency. Balance was enforced by scarcity. This system worked for billions of years. It was not slow. It was not primitive. It was stable. Civilization breaks stability by changing how energy is accessed. It does not invent energy. It unlocks concentrated energy that biology cannot reach on its own. Fire was the first breach. Fossil fuels were the second. Each breach multiplied power far beyond metabolic limits. This multiplication is what separates civilization from all previous life. Without it, technology stalls. Societies remain small. Impact remains local. With it, everything accelerates. This is why energy is the most reliable marker of civilization. Not intelligence, not language, not art, energy. When energy use increases rapidly, consequences follow automatically. Temperatures shift, chemistry changes, ecosystems destabilize, extinction rates rise. These are not side effects. They are requirements imposed by physics. Energy cannot be used without waste. This is the rule that undermines every claim of invisible ancient civilizations. A civilization that uses energy at scale must export entropy. That entropy alters surroundings. There is no known mechanism to avoid this entirely. Even hypothetical ultra-efficient systems must reject heat, must move matter, must create gradients. Nature is unforgiving in this respect. Humans provide the clearest demonstration. Before large-scale energy use, human impact was measurable but limited. Local extinctions and regional burning. Soil changes. After energy amplification, impact became global. Carbon dioxide rose beyond natural variation. Oceans acidified, glaciers retreated, weather patterns shifted. This happened quickly. Geologically speaking, almost instantaneously. This speed is crucial. Slow changes blend into background noise. Fast changes stand out as anomalies. Civilization forces speed into systems evolved for gradualism. This forced speed is what geology remembers. Now imagine an earlier civilization. Not a mythical one, not magical, but physical, bound by the same laws. It would need energy, dense energy, and whether biological or technological, it must concentrate power to build, to move, to organize. If it relied only on sunlight and muscle, it would remain limited. It would not build cities, it would not mine. It would not dominate ecosystems. It would resemble a complex animal society. To qualify a civilization in any meaningful sense, it must break the biological energy ceiling. Once broken, the record begins. Carbon shifts, nitrogen shifts, metal redistribution, and widespread habitat modification. The Earth does not hide these changes. It archives them. This is why scientists focus on energy signatures rather than artifacts. Tools break, buildings erode, energy footprints persist. Carbon isotopes in sediment reveal combustion. Nitrogen ratios reveal fertilizer use. Trace metals reveal mining. None of these appear before humans. This is not because humans are unique in imagination. It is because they are unique in energy access. Another misconception suggests that earlier civilizations could have used clean energy and therefore left no trace. This idea misunderstands scale. Even renewable energy systems require infrastructure. Materials must be extracted. Landscapes must be altered. Maintenance must occur. Growth still demands resources. A civilization that remains small enough to avoid detectable impact is also too small to be called civilization. Scale is unavoidable. Humans did not leave a planetary mark because they were careless. They left it because civilization scales. As populations grow, energy demand grows faster. Efficiency gains are consumed by expansion. This is not cultural. It is systemic. This pattern repeats across history. More efficient tools do not reduce resource use. They increase it by enabling growth. This is why the idea of a perfectly balanced ancient civilization collapses under scrutiny. Balance and growth are incompatible beyond a threshold. If an earlier civilization existed and chose not to grow, it would stagnate. It would remain marginal. It would not dominate the planet. It would not reshape global systems. And again, such a society would be indistinguishable from none at all in the geological record. Energy also explains why civilization appeared so late. For most of Earth's history, dense energy sources were inaccessible. Fossil fuels existed, but extraction required tools and knowledge that did not yet exist. Fire existed, but control took time. Civilization did not wait for intelligence alone. It waited for energy accessibility. This waiting period creates an illusion. It feels as though civilization should have appeared earlier simply because time was available. But time without energy access is irrelevant. Only when multiple conditions aligned did civilization become viable. This alignment occurred recently. Once it did, change accelerated beyond anything the planet had experienced. This acceleration is why the idea of multiple past civilizations becomes less plausible the more it is examined. Energy-driven transitions are obvious. They leave spikes. Boundaries shifts. Earth has recorded every major energy transition in its history. Oxygenation, photosynthesis, multicellular life. Each is visible. Civilization would be no different. It would appear as a sharp transition in how energy moved through the biosphere. There is only one such transition after biological evolution, and it is happening now. This leads to an uncomfortable implication. If energy is the gatekeeper, and Earth has now passed a major energy transition, future civilizations may not arise easily. Fossil fuels are finite. Once burned, they do not return on human timescales. Easily accessible metals become scarce. Ecosystems lose resilience. Future intelligent species would inherit a planet already altered by civilization. Their energy options would be limited. This suggests that civilization may be a one-time event, not just historically, but energetically. The planet may have had only one chance to support energy-intensive technological life. This possibility reframes the entire discussion. Pre-human civilization may not have existed, not because life was incapable, but because energy pathways were not yet open. Post-human civilization may not exist because those pathways will be exhausted. Humanity may occupy a narrow, energetic window in deep time. This window is closing. This does not mean collapse is inevitable. It means constraints are tightening. Energy abundance allowed civilization to grow rapidly without fully accounting for consequences. That phase is ending. What remains is choice. Earth does not care how energy is used. It only responds to totals and rates and imbalances. The planet is already responding. Climate systems are shifting. Oceans are changing. Feedback loops are activating. These responses are not punishment. They are physics. And they mirror the kinds of responses that would have followed any earlier civilization had one existed. The fact that no such responses appear earlier reinforces the conclusion that no earlier civilization crossed this energetic threshold. Energy tells a story when artifacts are gone. It is the deepest narrative written into stone. Before humans, energy flowed through biology and geology alone. After humans, it flows through intention. This distinction marks a boundary more significant than any extinction or era change. It marks the moment when life stopped merely reacting and began acting upon the planet. There is no evidence that this happened before. The silence of deep time is not hiding a forgotten age. It is revealing a rule. Civilization begins when energy escapes biology, and that escape has happened only once. The planet is now learning what that means. When physical structures vanish and biological remains decay, chemistry remains. It is the most faithful witness Earth has. Atoms do not forget where they have been. They carry histories written into ratios, bonds, and distributions that persist long after shapes are gone. This is why chemistry matters more than ruins. Civilization alters chemistry in ways no natural system does, not because it is artificial, but because it concentrates. It pulls elements out of balance. It accelerates reactions that normally take millions of years. It introduces compounds that biology never evolved to handle. These changes are subtle in isolation. Together, they form a pattern. Carbon is the clearest example. For most of Earth's history, carbon moved slowly. Plants absorbed it, animals released it, sediments buried it. Volcanic activity returned it to the atmosphere over immense timescales. This balance fluctuated, but within limits. Industrial civilization shattered those limits. Carbon locked underground for hundreds of millions of years was released in centuries. The isotopic signature of this carbon is distinct. Lighter carbon ratios rise abruptly. This signal is so clear that future geologists will identify it instantly. There is no earlier signal like it. Natural events release carbon, but they do so differently. Volcanoes produce different isotope ratios. Methane, clathrates leave specific markers. Wildfires leave charcoal layers. Scientists know how to tell these apart. No unexplained industrial carbon spike appears before humans. Nitrogen tells a similar story. Before civilization, nitrogen cycling was controlled by microbes and lightning. Rates were limited. Changes were gradual. Industrial activity introduced massive quantities of reactive nitrogen into soils and waterways. Fertilizers altered ecosystems, dead zones formed in oceans. Nitrogen isotopes shifted globally. This transformation is visible and permanent on geological timescales. Again, there is no earlier parallel. Metals provide another record. Mining concentrates elements that are normally dispersed. Copper, lead, mercury, aluminum. Civilization pulls them from deep rock and spreads them across the surface. These metals accumulate in sediments, ice cores, and lake beds and ocean floors. Human activity has produced a clear global metal signature. There is no earlier equivalent. Even ancient volcanic events do not mimic this pattern. They release metals episodically, not continuously. They concentrate different elements. Their spatial distribution differs. Civilization produces a unique chemical fingerprint. This fingerprint is not dependent on technology level. Even relatively simple metallurgy, leaves, traces, smelting, alters, isotopes, slag accumulates, contamination spreads. If a pre-human civilization had existed at any meaningful scale, its metal signature would stand out against natural background levels. It does not. Another category of evidence lies in synthetic compounds. Plastics, persistent organic pollutants, and artificial chemicals do not exist naturally in large quantities, and once introduced, they degrade slowly and fragment rather than vanish. Human-produced microplastics are already being incorporated into sediments. Future rock layers will contain them as a distinct horizon. No such materials appear in older layers. Some argue that ancient civilizations may have used organic or biodegradable materials, but this argument fails at scale. Even biodegradable systems require processing. Adhesives, dyes, treated fibers, preservatives, waste products. Complex manufacturing always produces byproducts. Those byproducts accumulate. Chemistry does not allow perfect loops. This is why the idea of a chemically silent civilization is incompatible with physical law. Civilization does not just use matter, it reorganizes it. This reorganization is irreversible at large scales. Earth's chemical record is vast and detailed. It spans oceans, continents, ice sheets, and deep rock layers. Independent lines of evidence reinforce each other. This is not a single data set that could be incomplete or misleading. It is a global pattern before humans. Chemical cycles follow natural drivers. After humans, they deviate sharply. There is no earlier deviation that demands explanation beyond geology and biology. This does not mean scientists assume certainty. It means the burden of evidence lies heavily against pre-human civilization. To overturn this conclusion would require discovering a chemical anomaly that cannot be explained naturally and that appears globally. No such anomaly exists, and this absence is not due to lack of search. Chemistry is foundational to earth science. Isotope analysis is routine. Sediment cores are studied continuously. Climate reconstructions are refined constantly. If something were there, it would have surfaced. This realization leads to a deeper insight. Civilization does not announce itself with monuments. It announces itself with imbalance. Imbalances in carbon, nitrogen, metals, temperature, extinction rates. These imbalances compound over time. They are difficult to hide. they are impossible to erase entirely. This is why deep time favors chemistry over architecture. The Earth does not remember what was built. It remembers what was changed. Before humans, change followed natural rhythms. After humans, those rhythms broke. This break is singular. There is no echo of it earlier. The chemical silence of the ancient world is not an oversight. It is testimony. It tells a story of life that lived within planetary limits for billions of years. It tells a story of ecosystems that rose and fell without ever reorganizing the planet intentionally. It tells a story of a world that waited a very long time before experiencing technological imbalance. That experience is now unfolding. This perspective strips away mystery and replaces it with responsibility. If humans are the first civilization to alter Earth chemically at scale, then they are also the first to face the consequences knowingly. There is no ancient precedent to consult, no earlier chemical scar to learn from, only physics. Chemistry does not negotiate, it responds. The planet is responding now, and it is responding in ways that will be recorded long after cities vanish and languages fade. Future layers will show a clear before and after. Before intention, after intention. No such boundary exists earlier. This does not make humanity special in purpose. It makes humanity singular in effect. And that singularity is the final argument against pre-human civilization. Because if such a civilization had existed, the planet would already bear its chemical memory. It does not. The memory being written now is the first of its kind, and it will remain long after the question itself is forgotten. Many claims of civilizations before humans do not begin with prehistory. They begin with misunderstanding. Fragments of early human achievement are lifted out of context and stretched backward in time until they no longer resemble the reality they came from. What is ancient becomes prehistoric. What is impressive becomes impossible. What is poorly understood becomes evidence of something lost. This distortion does not come from malice, it comes from scale. Human history is short, but its earliest chapters are dense with innovation. When modern eyes look back at early structures, early tools, and early symbols, they often underestimate what humans were capable of without modern machines. The result is a false gap, a sense that something must be missing. Nothing is missing. Early humans were not primitive in the way the word is often used. They were biologically modern. Their minds were capable of abstraction, planning, and creativity. They lacked machines, not intelligence. When humans built large stone structures, they did not need advanced technology. They needed time, coordination, and knowledge passed across generations. Stone can be shaped precisely without metal. Massive blocks can be moved with leverage, friction, and human labor. Astronomical alignments can be tracked with careful observation and memory. None of this requires lost science. It requires patience. This is where many myths collapse. They assume that because something is difficult today without machines, it must have been impossible without advanced tools. But difficulty is not impossibility. It is effort. Early human societies invested effort at scales modern societies rarely attempt. This effort leaves traces. Tool marks, quarry sites, debris fields, gradual construction phases, abandoned attempts. All of these are visible in the archaeological record. They show continuity. There is no sudden appearance of knowledge without precedent, no unexplained leap, no isolated pinnacle disconnected from what came before and after. This continuity is one of the strongest arguments against lost civilizations. Real civilizations do not appear fully formed and vanish without descendants. They grow, they experiment, they fail. They leave trails of development. Human civilization shows this clearly. Stone tools precede agriculture. Agriculture precedes cities. Cities precede metallurgy at scale. Metallurgy precedes industrialization. Each step builds on the previous one. There is no missing layer beneath the earliest human technologies. The ground does not hide an earlier staircase. Another common source of confusion lies in the idea of advanced ancient knowledge. Calendars, mathematics, astronomy, medicine. These achievements are often treated as evidence of an earlier technological inheritance. They are not. They are the natural outcome of long observation by intelligent minds, living close to natural cycles. The sky repeats, seasons repeat, stars move predictably, patterns emerge without instruments. Humans are exceptional pattern recognizers, and given time, they will map the heavens, they will count cycles, they will build symbolic systems to store that knowledge. This is not advanced technology. It is accumulated attention. Early human cultures developed deep understanding of their environments because survival depended on it. This knowledge was not written in equations, but in stories, rituals, and practices passed through memory. Modern observers often mistake difference in expression for difference in capability. Early humans were not less intelligent. They were differently constrained. This distinction matters because it explains why impressive ancient achievements do not require pre-human civilizations to explain them. They require respect for human ingenuity. Another factor fueling misunderstanding is the tendency to project modern values onto the past. Modern societies value speed, efficiency, and automation. Early societies valued endurance, redundancy, and collective effort. What modern civilization achieves with machines, ancient societies achieved with coordination. This difference feels alien, but it is not mysterious. Archaeology reveals how it was done. When these explanations are ignored, speculation fills the gap. The past becomes a canvas for imagination rather than evidence. This is where claims of pre-human civilization often shift quietly into claims of lost human civilizations. The distinction blurs, timelines stretch, evidence is reinterpreted. But these are different questions. Lost human civilizations are real. They rise and fall. They leave ruins. They are erased by war, climate change, and neglect. Pre-human civilizations are hypothetical. They require evidence that precedes the human lineage entirely. Confusing the two weakens both history and science. The archaeological record of human civilization is remarkably rich. It shows repeated patterns: growth, collapse, reinvention, trade networks expanding and contracting, technologies spreading and adapting, There is no unexplained discontinuity. This matters because if humans inherited knowledge from an earlier civilization, that inheritance would appear somewhere, in symbols, in techniques, in sudden complexity, without groundwork. It does not. Human civilization emerges gradually, region by region, with variation shaped by environment. This pattern is incompatible with the idea of a forgotten global predecessor. Another misconception arises from scale again. The assumption that because ancient humans could not have achieved something globally, they must have had help. This overlooks how localized most ancient achievements were. Early civilizations did not span the planet. They developed independently in multiple regions. Agriculture arose separately. Metallurgy arose separately. Writing arose separately. This independence argues against inheritance. It argues for convergence. Humans faced similar challenges in different environments and arrived at similar solutions. This convergence is powerful evidence for the sufficiency of human intelligence. Pre-human civilization theories often underestimate this sufficiency. They assume humans needed help to build complexity. The evidence shows otherwise. The more archaeology uncovers, the more impressive early human capability becomes, not because it was advanced beyond its time, but because it was fully adapted to it. This growing understanding should reduce mystery, not increase it. Instead, mystery persists because it is emotionally satisfying. Lost civilizations offer romance, secrets, hidden wisdom. They suggest that decline is temporary and knowledge eternal. Science offers a harsher truth. Knowledge is fragile. Civilizations forget. Collapse does not guarantee recovery. This truth is uncomfortable. It removes safety nets from the future. It suggests that what humans have built can be lost without replacement. The temptation to imagine earlier civilizations is, in part, a refusal to accept this fragility. But fragility is exactly what the record shows. Human civilization is young. It has already collapsed many times at smaller scales. Nothing in the record suggests immunity. The archaeological past does not point to a hidden lineage of pre-human builders. It points to human beings discovering their own capacity step by step. This does not diminish wonder, it deepens it, because it means everything built so far arose from minds like ours, facing uncertainty without guidance, inventing solutions without templates. There was no ancient teacher, no lost manual, no forgotten world whispering instructions through time. There were only humans learning, and the planet responding. The search for pre-human civilization often looks backward for reassurance. The evidence points forward instead. Civilization is not something rediscovered. It is something maintained or lost. And nothing in the past guarantees it will return if it disappears. This is the real lesson hidden beneath the myths. Not that others came before, but that no one did. And that makes what exists now both rare and vulnerable. Myths do not appear by accident. They emerge where memory fades and imagination fills the gap. Every civilization carries stories of earlier ages, golden eras, lost lands, and powerful beings who once shaped the world. These stories feel ancient because they are. But ancient does not mean literal. Myths are not records of events. They are records of meaning. When humans look into deep time, they do not see clearly. They project fears, hopes, and anxieties are reflected backward and transformed into narrative. This process is universal. It is not deception. It is cognition. Myths of lost civilizations arise most often during periods of instability, when societies feel fragile. The idea that others rose and fell before provides comfort. Collapse becomes survivable if it is part of a cycle. Knowledge becomes eternal if it can be rediscovered. This emotional function explains why such myths persist even when evidence contradicts them. Atlantis is not remembered because it existed. It is remembered because it symbolizes loss. It represents the fear that civilization can disappear suddenly and completely. It represents the hope that something of value remains buried, waiting to be found. Similar myths appear across cultures: sunken cities, sky people, ancient builders. These stories do not converge on a single historical event. They converge on a shared human concern. The concern is not about the past, it is about the future. Myths often emerge where history ends, when writing fails, when societies collapse and records vanish. The mind seeks continuity where none is visible. This is why myths should not be treated as evidence of pre-human civilization. They are evidence of human psychology. They tell us how people experienced loss, not what literally happened before humanity. Science approaches these stories differently. It asks not what they mean, but what they leave behind physically. Meaning does not fossilize. Stone does. And stone does not support the literal interpretation of these myths. This does not make myths useless. It makes them contextual. They are cultural artifacts, not geological ones. Another reason myths are often misinterpreted is scale distortion. Ancient people experienced floods, earthquakes, fires, and storms that felt world-ending. Without global communication, local catastrophe became universal narrative. A coastal flood becomes a story of the world drowning. A volcanic eruption becomes divine punishment. A collapsing city becomes a lost continent. These stories spread orally. They grow with repetition. They merge with others. Symbolism replaces detail. After enough time, origin disappears. What remains feels ancient and authoritative. Modern audiences encountering these stories without context sometimes mistake them for historical testimony. They are not. They are psychological fossils. They preserve fear and meaning, not events. This distinction is critical when evaluating claims of pre-human civilization based on mythology. Myths cannot override geology. No story has ever altered isotope ratios. No legend has ever shifted sediment layers. No oral tradition has ever produced synthetic chemistry. The Earth records events, not interpretations. This is why myths often conflict with each other, while geological records converge. One culture remembers fire from the sky. Another remembers water. Another remembers ice. The details differ because the experiences differed. Geology integrates them into a coherent pattern. Mass extinctions align globally. Climate shifts appear in multiple independent records. Chemistry tells a consistent story across continents. Myths do not. This does not reduce their value. It clarifies it. They are windows into human response, not human prehistory. Another powerful myth fueling belief in pre-human civilization is the idea of hidden knowledge, that ancient peoples possessed advanced understanding lost to time, that modern science is rediscovering forgotten truths. This narrative is seductive because it reframes ignorance as loss rather than limitation, but it does not align with evidence. Scientific knowledge accumulates. It builds on prior discovery. When knowledge is lost, its absence leaves gaps that are visible. There is no evidence of advanced ancient physics, no ancient understanding of electricity beyond static effects, no ancient mastery of chemistry beyond basic metallurgy and dyes, no ancient mathematics exceeding what we can trace developmentally. Ancient knowledge was impressive because it was precise within constraint, not because it was advanced beyond its time. Romanticizing it does not honor it. It distorts it. Pre-human civilization theories often rely on this romantic distortion. They treat ancient accomplishment as anomaly rather than outcome. The real anomaly is modern acceleration. Human knowledge grew slowly for tens of thousands of years, then explosively in the last few centuries. This explosion creates the illusion that earlier humans were static or incapable. They were not. They were progressing at a pace appropriate to their tools and energy sources. There is no sudden drop in sophistication that would indicate lost inheritance. Instead, there is steady growth interrupted by collapse and recovery. This pattern repeats across regions. It is human. Another myth is that of external teachers, beings who arrived from elsewhere to instruct humanity, gods descending from the sky, visitors from the stars. These stories often reflect awe at the unknown. They do not reflect evidence. Archaeology shows that technologies emerged locally, incrementally, and independently. Writing did not appear all at once. It evolved from symbols. Agriculture did not appear everywhere simultaneously. It emerged where conditions favored it. There is no central source. This decentralization contradicts the idea of a single ancient progenitor civilization. If such a civilization had existed and taught humanity, its influence would be uniform. It is not. Human civilization is patchwork, messy, uneven. This messiness is exactly what real development looks like. Another reason myths persist is that humans are uncomfortable with firsts. Being first implies uncertainty. It removes precedent. It removes reassurance. It means there is no older path to follow. The idea that humanity might be Earth's first civilization is psychologically heavy. It means mistakes cannot be compared to earlier outcomes. It means survival is not guaranteed by repetition. Myths soften this weight by placing humanity within a larger story. Science does not offer that comfort. It offers probability, and probability suggests rarity. The absence of pre-human civilization does not imply emptiness. It implies preparation without intention. Life spent billions of years building complexity without crossing into technological dominance. This is not failure. It is context. Myths often reverse this context. They treat civilization as the natural state and absence as loss. The geological record shows the opposite. Absence was the norm. Presence is the anomaly. This inversion is difficult to accept because modern humans experience civilization as baseline reality. But baseline reality is not historical reality. Another myth that deserves examination is the idea of sudden, forgotten collapse. That civilizations can disappear without trace. History does not support this. Even collapsed human societies leave layered evidence: abandoned fields, altered soils, species introductions, ruins, genetic signatures, linguistic remnants. Pre-human civilizations, if they existed, would not be more fragile than human ones. They would be subject to the same persistence of consequence. Nothing vanishes completely, only interpretation does. This is why the search for pre-human civilization often feels compelling, but remains empty-handed. It searches for narrative rather than signal. It listens for echoes rather than measuring impact. The Earth is not silent. It is specific. It tells a story of life evolving patiently, repeatedly, without ever crossing into global technological manipulation until humans. This does not make humans destined. It makes them conditional. Civilization is not an achievement unlocked by time. It is a response triggered by instability, vulnerability, and opportunity. Myths compress these factors into symbols. Science separates them into mechanisms. Both have value. Only one explains the planet. This chapter does not dismiss myth. It relocates it. Myths belong to anthropology, psychology, and culture. Pre-human civilization belongs to geology, chemistry, and evolutionary biology. When these domains are confused, speculation flourishes. When they are separated, clarity emerges. Clarity is not comforting. It does not promise rediscovery. It does not guarantee recovery. It suggests that what exists now exists for the first time, and that what happens next has no precedent to rely on. This realization is not meant to strip wonder from the world. It is meant to redirect it. There is no lost age of machines buried beneath the crust. There is a living planet that waited billions of years before producing beings capable of asking whether they are alone in time. That question is more remarkable than any myth, and it carries more responsibility than any legend ever did. The idea that a civilization could exist and leave almost nothing behind often rests on one final assumption: that it could hide itself, that it could be small, careful, restrained, or fundamentally different in how it interacted with the planet. This idea feels reasonable at first. It appeals to the belief that intelligence might learn to live without disturbing its surroundings. But when examined closely, it begins to dissolve. Civilization does not hide by choice. It reveals itself through necessity. To exist beyond small groups, any civilization must solve the same problems: food, shelter, energy, waste, communication. These problems scale. The larger the population, the harder they become to manage without altering the environment. This scaling is not cultural. It is physical. A population beyond a certain size cannot survive on wild resources alone. It must produce food. Food production requires land management. Land management alters ecosystems. Forests become fields. Water is redirected. Soil composition changes. Species distributions shift. Even the most careful agriculture leaves traces. This is not a moral judgment. It is mechanics. Some imagine a civilization that avoided agriculture by remaining nomadic or hunter-gatherer. Such societies can be sophisticated, they can be intelligent, but they cannot become civilization as defined by planetary impact. They remain bound to natural limits. Their population size stays small, their footprint remains local, they do not build cities, they do not accumulate infrastructure, they do not alter global systems. This distinction matters because it reveals a boundary below a certain threshold. Societies can blend into nature. Above it, they cannot. Civilization lives above that threshold. Another idea is that an earlier civilization could have been ocean-based. Oceans feel like places where evidence might be hidden, vast, deep, unexplored. But oceans are not blank. They are among the most chemically monitored environments on the planet. Sediments accumulate continuously. Layers preserve changes in temperature, acidity, oxygen levels, and pollution. Ocean-based civilization faces even greater constraints than land-based ones. Fire is difficult to control. Metallurgy is nearly impossible. Long-term storage is limited. Infrastructure corrodes rapidly. Energy extraction is harder. Even today, human civilization struggles to build durable structures underwater. More importantly, oceans are tightly coupled to global chemistry. Any large-scale activity within them alters nutrient cycles, oxygen levels, carbon storage. These changes propagate globally. There is no evidence of such disturbances before humans. Marine ecosystems show long continuity interrupted by natural events. They do not show signatures of technological exploitation. Intelligent marine life exists today. Whales, dolphins, they have culture, communication, memory. They have existed for millions of years. They have not built civilization, not because they lack intelligence, but because their environment does not support the pathways civilization requires. This is an important lesson. Intelligence does not guarantee civilization. Environment matters more. Another proposed hiding place is time itself. The idea that a civilization could rise and fall so quickly that it leaves no trace. This misunderstands how trace formation works. Traces are not proportional to duration alone. They are proportional to intensity. A single asteroid impact leaves more evidence than millions of years of gradual erosion. A few centuries of industrial activity can outweigh millions of years of natural cycling. Civilization concentrates activity. It accelerates processes. It introduces discontinuities. These discontinuities do not require long duration to be recorded. They require scale. Even a brief industrial phase would leave markers that persist. Humanity has already done so. Another idea is that an earlier civilization could have used only organic materials. No metals, no synthetics, no fossil fuels. This again reduces civilization to a contradiction. Without metals, tools remain limited. Without fossil fuels, energy remains constrained. Without durable materials, infrastructure collapses quickly. Such a society might exist. It might be intelligent, it might have culture, but it would not be civilization in the sense being debated. It would not reshape the planet. And if it did not reshape the planet, geology would not record it. This leads to a crucial realization. The argument that a civilization could exist without leaving evidence is equivalent to arguing that it could exist without impact. A civilization without impact is not a civilization. Impact is the definition. This does not mean impact must be destructive. It means it must be detectable. Energy use is detectable. Resource concentration is detectable. Waste production is detectable. There is no known pathway to avoid all three. Even theoretical post-scarcity civilizations imagined in physics still alter their environments. They move matter, they generate heat, they produce gradients. Entropy cannot be negotiated with. This is why attempts to hide civilization always push it toward contradiction. Either it remains small and invisible, or it grows and leaves marks. There is no stable middle ground. Humans themselves illustrate this. For tens of thousands of years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. Their impact was real but limited. Ecosystems adapted. Traces exist, but they are subtle. Once agriculture appeared, impact expanded. Once cities appeared, impact intensified. Once fossil fuels appeared, impact exploded. Each step made civilization harder to hide. Pre-human civilization theories often imagine skipping steps, leaping directly to advanced states without intermediate disruption. This is not how complex systems evolve. They climb gradually, leaving a trail behind them. There is no evidence of such a trail before humans. Another proposal suggests that an earlier civilization may have deliberately erased itself, dismantled its infrastructure, restored ecosystems. This assumes a level of foresight and control that exceeds even modern capability. Ecosystems are not switches that can be flipped back to pristine states. Restoration is partial. Legacies persist. Soils remember. Species distributions remain altered. Chemistry does not reset. Even abandoned human landscapes today remain changed centuries later. Rewilding is slow and incomplete. A civilization that intentionally erased itself would still leave long-term chemical and biological signals, and there is no sign of those signals. This leads to a broader point. Hiding civilization from deep time is harder than building civilization in the first place. Deep time is ruthless in its accounting. It forgets details, but it remembers imbalance. It does not need names or stories. It only needs deviations from baseline. Before humans, baselines shift due to natural forces. After humans, baselines break. This break is unique. Another reason hiding theories persist is the belief that science has not explored enough, that vast areas remain unexamined, that discoveries are waiting just beyond reach. This is partially true. Science is incomplete, but incompleteness does not imply blindness. The question is not whether every square meter has been studied. It is whether global patterns are understood. They are. Earth science does not rely on isolated finds. It relies on converging signals. Sediment cores, taken thousands of kilometers apart, tell the same story. Ice cores from different poles align, and fossil distributions repeat patterns across continents. This convergence reduces the space in which hidden civilizations could exist, not to zero, but close. Science is comfortable with uncertainty. It is not comfortable with contradictions. Pre-human civilization contradicts what is known about energy, chemistry, and ecology. That does not make it impossible. It makes it extraordinarily unlikely. The desire to believe in hidden civilizations often reveals more about human fears than about Earth's past. Fear of uniqueness, fear of responsibility, fear of finality. If others came before and failed, then failure feels normal. If no one came before, then failure feels absolute. Science does not offer comfort here. It offers perspective. The perspective is this: life on Earth thrived for billions of years without civilization. It did not need it. Civilization appeared only when conditions forced it, and once it appeared, it could not hide. This does not mean civilization is wrong or unnatural. It means it is disruptive by nature. Disruption is not inherently negative. It is simply powerful. Power always leaves traces. This is the rule that no hiding theory can escape. The more advanced a civilization becomes, the louder it is in the geological record. The quieter it remains, the less advanced it is. There is no version that is both advanced and silent. This is not a limitation of imagination. It is a limitation of physics. Before humans, the planet shows no sign of such a contradiction being resolved. After humans, it shows nothing else. This leads to a stark conclusion. If civilization had existed before humans, Earth would remember. It does not. The planet carries memories of impacts far greater than any city could cause. Supervolcanoes, asteroid strikes, global climate shifts. It would not forget a species that altered its energy balance deliberately. This absence does not close the question forever. Science remains open, but openness is not neutrality. Based on everything the planet records, civilization is a recent and singular event. The search for hidden civilizations in the deep past ultimately circles back to the present. It asks whether civilization can exist without consequence. The answer appears to be no. It asks whether intelligence naturally leads to dominance. The answer appears to be no. It asks whether Earth favors technological life. The answer appears to be indifference. Civilization is not a secret written into the planet. It is a loud experiment unfolding in real time. Deep time is watching, and it will remember whatever comes next. To understand whether civilization could have existed before humans, it is necessary to reverse the perspective. Instead of asking what the past might be hiding, it is more revealing to ask what the future will see. Humans are already becoming part of the fossil record. The planet is already beginning to translate civilization into stone, chemistry, and pattern. This process is not speculative. It is underway. If humanity vanished today, cities would collapse quickly within decades. Vegetation would reclaim streets within centuries. Structures would weaken and fall. Within thousands of years, most visible traces would disappear from the surface. It would seem as though civilization had never existed. But this appearance would be deceptive. Beneath the surface, the record would remain. Carbon levels would stay elevated for tens of thousands of years. Ocean acidity would take even longer to recover. Extinction patterns would remain frozen in place. Plastics would fragment and sink into sediments. Radioactive isotopes would decay slowly, leaving clear chronological markers. Future geologists would see a boundary. They would not need buildings to identify it. They would recognize a sudden and unnatural shift in multiple independent systems: climate, chemistry, biodiversity, sediment composition. This boundary would be unmistakable. It would stand out as sharply as the layer left by the asteroid that ended the age of dinosaurs. This exercise matters because it removes abstraction. It shows what civilization actually looks like to deep time. Not monuments, not language, not stories, but imbalance. This imbalance does not fade quickly. Earth responds slowly to rapid disruption. Systems take thousands to millions of years to restabilize. Feedback loops overshoot and oscillate. Recovery is uneven and incomplete. The record of human civilization will not be a brief smudge. It will be a thick, complex layer spanning multiple signals. And this layer will appear only once. This is the most direct way to evaluate claims of pre-human civilization. If a civilization had existed before, its layer would exist too. There would be earlier boundaries, earlier chemical disruptions, earlier extinction anomalies. There are none. Some argue that human civilization may not be representative, that earlier civilizations could have followed different trajectories. This argument ignores convergence. Any civilization capable of altering its environment at scale must obey the same physical constraints. Energy must be extracted. Matter must be moved. Waste must be produced. The specifics may vary. The signatures do not disappear. Humans did not invent planetary impact. They triggered it. This triggering is detectable regardless of cultural details. Future scientists would not need to understand human languages or technologies to know something unprecedented happened. They would see it in rocks. This perspective also exposes a subtle illusion. Modern humans often imagine that technology advances indefinitely, that civilization naturally refines itself towards sustainability and balance. The geological record suggests otherwise. Complex systems tend to overshoot. They exploit available resources rapidly. They grow faster than regulation can evolve. They destabilize the environments they depend on. This is not unique to humans. It is a property of complex adaptive systems. If earlier civilizations existed, they would have faced the same tendency. Either they stabilized themselves perfectly for millions of years or they collapsed. Perfect stabilization would require continuous planetary management without detectable error. Collapse would leave a boundary. Neither appears. This narrows the plausible scenarios further. Another insight emerges when considering timescales. Human civilization has existed for only a few thousand years. Industrial civilization for only a few centuries. Yet its impact is already global. This disproportionality is important. Civilization does not require long duration to leave permanent marks. It requires intensity. This undermines arguments that earlier civilizations could have been too brief to detect. Brief but intense events dominate geological memory. Long but gentle ones fade. Civilization is not gentle. This understanding also clarifies why early human activity is visible despite small population sizes. Fire use altered vegetation patterns. Hunting altered species distributions. Even simple tools left wear traces. Humans began altering ecosystems long before cities. This makes it even less plausible that an earlier civilization could have reached advanced stages without leaving any precursors. There is no evidence of earlier tool using lineages progressing toward technological complexity. There is no gradient leading upward before humans. The staircase begins with early hominins and nowhere else. Another way to approach the question is through biodiversity. Civilization reshapes biodiversity in specific ways. It simplifies ecosystems. It favors generalist species. It increases extinction rates selectively. Large animals disappear first. Specialists follow. This pattern is already visible in the fossil record. Future scientists will identify a sudden bottleneck in biodiversity aligned with human activity. No similar bottleneck appears earlier. Mass extinctions remove species indiscriminately. Civilization removes selectively. This selectivity is key. It reveals agency. Agency is rare in the geological record. Before humans, agency exists only at the biological level. Organisms act individually, populations respond collectively, but without coordination across ecosystems. Civilization introduces coordinated agency at planetary scale. This is unprecedented, and it leaves a distinctive signature. The absence of that signature earlier is decisive. Another point often overlooked is sedimentation rate. Civilization increases erosion dramatically. Deforestation accelerates sediment flow. Agriculture loosens soil. Construction reshapes watersheds. Sediment layers thicken. River deltas expand. Coastlines shift. These changes are visible in cause. No earlier period shows this combination of rapid erosion and chemical disruption outside natural catastrophe. This, again, isolates civilization as a unique driver. Some argue that humans are simply at the beginning of a pattern that may have occurred before, but is incomplete in the record. This ignores the completeness of recent geological layers. The last few 100 million years are among the best preserved in Earth history. Continents are recognizable. Oceans are mapped. Climate cycles are reconstructed with high confidence. This is not a foggy interval where civilization could hide unnoticed. It is a detailed archive. If a civilization existed after the rise of complex life, it would almost certainly fall within this window. It does not. This leads to a difficult but necessary conclusion. Civilization is not an ancient phenomenon repeated across deep time. It is an experiment running for the first time. This experiment may not last long. Its outcome is unknown, but its uniqueness is increasingly clear. This uniqueness changes how the question should be framed. Instead of asking whether there was civilization before humans, the more relevant question becomes whether there will be civilization after humans. The geological record suggests this is not guaranteed. Civilization requires a narrow set of conditions: accessible energy, stable climate, high biodiversity, social cooperation, cultural memory. Remove any one of these, and civilization falters. Humans have already altered several of them. Future intelligent species would inherit the results. They would not start from the same baseline. This further reduces the likelihood of repeated civilizations on Earth. The first one may consume the opportunity. This does not mean intelligence cannot arise again. It means civilization as a planetary force may be rare even on planets that support life. Earth may be demonstrating this in real time. This perspective reframes the silence of the past, not as absence of imagination, but as absence of opportunity. Life flourished without ever needing to cross this threshold. When it finally did, it did so quickly and dramatically. This speed is what geology remembers, and it remembers it clearly. This memory is forming now. Future layers will tell a simple story. For billions of years, the planet changed through natural forces. Then, suddenly, one species began changing it deliberately. That moment marks the beginning of something entirely new. There is no earlier chapter like it. This realization does not reduce humanity to insignificance. It does the opposite. It places humanity at a hinge point in planetary history, not as inheritors, but as originators. This role carries no guarantee of success. It carries only consequence. If civilization stabilizes, it will become a permanent layer in Earth's memory. If it collapses, it will still remain a layer. Either way, the record will show a first, not a repeat. The planet has not forgotten previous civilizations because it has never recorded one. It is recording the first now, and what it records next will determine whether civilization becomes a brief anomaly or a lasting transition. Deep time does not ask questions. It records answers. Humanity is writing one. Science does not speak in absolutes. It speaks in probabilities shaped by evidence. This distinction is often misunderstood. Uncertainty is not ignorance. It is discipline. It is the refusal to claim more than the data allows. When science says there is no evidence for pre-human civilization, it does not mean the idea is forbidden. It means the idea is unsupported, and that matters. Every major claim about Earth's history must pass through multiple independent filters. Geology, chemistry, biology, physics. These fields do not rely on belief. They rely on consistency. When all of them point in the same direction, confidence grows. In the case of pre-human civilization, they converge. Geology shows no earlier anthropogenic boundary. Chemistry shows no unexplained industrial signatures. Biology shows no selective extinction patterns tied to intelligence before humans. Physics allows no energy-intensive system to operate without detectable waste. This convergence is powerful. It does not depend on one missing artifact or one unexplored site. It depends on global patterns repeated across the planet. This is why science does not treat the question as open-ended speculation. It treats it as a constrained hypothesis. Could civilization have existed before humans? Only if it violated known physical laws or left no impact. Neither option is supported. This is not arrogance. It is method. Scientific conclusions are provisional, but they are not arbitrary. They change only when new evidence demands it. This has happened many times in earth science. Continents were once thought immobile. Fossils forced a change. Mass extinctions were once doubted. Evidence forced acceptance. Climate change was once speculative. Data made it undeniable. If evidence of pre-human civilization appears, science will adapt. But speculation alone does not move the threshold. Another reason the scientific position is firm lies in scale of observation. Earth has been studied intensely for centuries. Mining, drilling, construction, and research have exposed deep layers across continents. Sediment cores reach millions of years into the past. Ice cores preserve ancient atmospheres. Satellites map surface features globally. This is not a planet lightly examined. The idea that a civilization existed and escaped all of this scrutiny requires extraordinary assumptions, not just one oversight, but many. It would require that every independent line of evidence missed the same signal. This is statistically implausible. Science is especially sensitive to anomalies. Unexpected signals attract attention. They are investigated repeatedly. Most turn out to have natural explanations. A few rewrite understanding. No unexplained signal of civilization has survived scrutiny. This does not make scientists dismissive. It makes them cautious. Another important clarification is the difference between unknown and unknowable. Unknown means evidence may exist but has not been found. Unknowable means evidence cannot exist. Pre-human civilization is not unknowable. It is unknown only in the sense that no evidence has been found. But as more data accumulates, the space for discovery shrinks. This is the opposite of mystery expanding. It is mystery collapsing. This process is uncomfortable for those who prefer open-ended wonder, but it is the natural outcome of investigation. Earth is not hiding its past. It is revealing it, slowly. And what it reveals is consistent. Life before humans was complex, resilient, and diverse. It was not technological. Intelligence existed, but it did not escape biology. Civilization appears late and singular. This conclusion does not depend on interpretation of myths, ruins, or texts. It depends on material reality. Some critics argue that science is biased against the idea of pre-human civilization, that it refuses to consider it seriously. This misunderstands skepticism. Science does not reject ideas because they are radical. It rejects them when they conflict with evidence. Radical ideas that fit evidence are embraced. The idea of mass extinctions was once radical. The idea of plate tectonics was once radical. The idea that humans alter global climate was once radical. All are now foundational. Pre-human civilization fails not because it is radical, but because it lacks support. This is a crucial distinction. Another misconception is that science demands perfect evidence. It does not. It demands sufficient evidence. Single artifacts can be disputed. Patterns cannot. Pre-human civilization would produce patterns. There are none. This absence is not neutral. It is informative. Science also recognizes limits. There are uncertainties in deep time. Erosion destroys detail. Subduction erases crust. Not everything survives. But this limitation applies equally to all hypotheses. And even within these limits, major events remain visible. If Earth remembers asteroid impacts, it would remember civilization. This perspective forces a reframing. Instead of imagining science as guarding a forbidden conclusion, it is more accurate to see it as having already answered the question provisionally. The answer is simple. There is no credible evidence of a technological civilization before humans. This statement is not dramatic. It is precise, and it leaves room for revision. But revision requires data. Another reason this conclusion feels unsatisfying to some is that it offers no narrative resolution. There is no hidden past to uncover, no secret to reveal, no ancient warning encoded in ruins. The warning, if any, comes from the present. Civilization is new. It has not been tested by deep time. It has no precedent on this planet. This makes its future uncertain. People often search the past for reassurance that collapse is survivable. Science does not offer that reassurance. It suggests collapse can be final, not because life ends, but because complexity does. This is visible in the fossil record. Many complex lineages vanished and never returned. Trilobites dominated oceans for hundreds of millions of years. They disappeared. They did not re-evolve. The same is true of countless forms. Civilization may join them if it fails. This is not pessimism. It is pattern recognition. Science does not predict doom. It identifies risk. The risk is that civilization is not self-sustaining by default. It must actively maintain balance with the planet it alters. This maintenance has no ancient blueprint. There is no earlier civilization that solved the problem. Humans must solve it without precedent. This realization shifts the weight of the question. Asking whether civilization existed before humans becomes less important than asking whether it can endure now. The scientific conclusion does not diminish humanity. It clarifies responsibility. If humans are the first civilization, then they are also the first to face planetary consequences knowingly. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. The geological record shows what happens when systems are pushed beyond stability. Humans are now doing the pushing. Science does not moralize this fact. It documents it. The absence of pre-human civilization is not a gap in knowledge. It is a boundary, a line separating a planet shaped only by natural processes from one shaped by intention. That line appears once. It is thin, and it is recent. This is the most honest position science can take. Open to evidence, constrained by data, guided by physical law. It does not promise comfort. It promises clarity, and clarity reveals something profound. Earth did not produce civilization again and again until one survived. It produced it once. What happens next will determine whether that one becomes a permanent feature of planetary history or a brief deviation erased by time. Science cannot answer that question yet. Deep time will. When the planet is viewed from deep time, civilization is almost invisible, not because it leaves no trace, but because it occupies such a narrow slice of history that it barely registers against the vastness surrounding it. Billions of years stretch backward, filled with life adapting, persisting, collapsing, and recovering. Ahead lies an equally vast future, indifferent to what has come before. Civilization sits between these immensities, like a brief flare, bright but uncertain. This perspective changes everything. The question of whether there was a civilization before humans is ultimately a question about meaning. It asks whether humanity is repeating a story or beginning one, whether there is precedent or only possibility, whether failure has been survived before or whether it would be final. The evidence points toward beginning. Earth's long history does not show cycles of technological rise and fall. It shows biological experimentation constrained by physics and environment. Life tried countless forms. Some were strange. Some were dominant. Some endured for astonishing lengths of time. None crossed the line into sustained planetary engineering. Civilization is not the continuation of a trend, it is a rupture. This rupture is recent enough that the planet has not yet fully responded. Many feedbacks are delayed. Oceans absorb heat slowly. Ice sheets respond over centuries. ecosystems collapse in stages. What feels immediate to humans unfolds gradually at planetary scale. This lag creates illusion. It allows civilization to imagine itself stable, even as it destabilizes the systems it depends on. Deep time offers no such illusion. From that vantage, stability is temporary, change is constant, complexity is fragile. The absence of pre-human civilization in the record is not an accident. It is the natural outcome of these rules. Complex, energy-intensive systems do not arise easily. When they do, they are tested harshly. Earth has tested life many times. Only once has life tested Earth. This asymmetry matters. Before humans, life adapted to the planet. After humans, the planet must adapt to life. This reversal is unprecedented. It carries consequences that no myth can soften and no lost history can explain away. The future will not judge humanity by its intentions. It will judge by outcomes written into rock, water, and air. This is what geology does. It does not record stories. It records results. Results are already forming. Species are vanishing faster than background rates. Carbon cycles are shifting beyond natural bounds. Oceans are warming and acidifying. Sediments are filling with materials never seen before. These signals are small now compared to what they may become, but they are unmistakable. They mark the arrival of civilization as a geological force. This force has no ancient counterpart. That realization is heavy because it removes comfort. There is no ancient failure to learn from. There is no earlier recovery to emulate. There is only theory, observation, and choice. The question then becomes not whether civilization existed before humans, but whether it will exist after humans. And that question has no guaranteed answer. Deep time does not favor complexity. It tolerates it briefly. Complex systems require constant maintenance. They require energy flows within narrow ranges. They require feedbacks that prevent runaway change. They require cooperation over competition. Biology achieved this through slow evolution. Civilization attempts it through design. Design is faster but more brittle. This brittleness is visible in history. Human civilizations collapse repeatedly. Drought, resource depletion, social fragmentation. Each collapse reduces complexity. Some recover, some do not. So far, collapse has been local. The difference now is scale. For the first time, civilization operates globally. Collapse would not be isolated. Recovery would not draw on untouched systems. Everything is connected. This is why the absence of pre-human civilization matters so much. It tells us that Earth does not have a track record of recovering technological complexity once it is lost. It has a track record of recovering life. Those are not the same. Life rebounds through mutation, selection, and time. Complexity returns slowly in different forms. Civilization rebounds only if knowledge, infrastructure, and cooperation persist. Those are not guaranteed by evolution. They are cultural. Culture does not fossilize well. Once lost, it may never re-emerge in the same way. This is not speculation. It is history. Many human technologies were invented, forgotten, and reinvented only because conditions allowed it. Metallurgy, writing, navigation. Each depended on specific social and environmental contexts. remove those contexts, and rediscovery is not assured. Now extend this risk to planetary scale. If global civilization collapses, future intelligent species may not have access to the same resources. Fossil fuels will be gone. Ecosystems will be simplified. Climates may be unstable for millennia. The ladder humans climbed may be kicked away. This possibility makes the present moment singular, not because humans are special in essence, but because their position is unique in sequence. They are first, and firsts carry responsibility. This responsibility does not come from morality. It comes from physics. Earth does not reset easily. Once pushed beyond thresholds, it responds in ways that are slow and difficult to reverse. Civilization has already pushed some of these thresholds. Others approach. The absence of pre-human civilization tells us that there is no guarantee of another attempt if this one fails. This does not mean despair is rational. It means complacency is dangerous. Deep time is not hostile. It is indifferent. It will absorb whatever happens next and continue. Whether civilization becomes a thin boundary layer or a long-lived transformation depends on choices made within a very short window. This window exists now. From the perspective of deep time, it will pass quickly. This is the final implication of the question that began this journey. Not who came before, but who will come after. The planet does not appear to have hosted civilizations repeatedly. It appears to have waited. And when conditions finally allowed one to emerge, it did so in a way that cannot easily be undone. Civilization is not written into the planet's destiny. It is written into a moment. This moment is fragile. It demands awareness beyond instinct. It demands cooperation beyond tribe. It demands restraint beyond growth. None of these are guaranteed by evolution. They must be chosen. The absence of ancient civilizations is not an argument against wonder. It is an argument for attention. Everything that exists now exists for the first time. There is no rehearsal. There is no prior draft buried beneath the crust. There is only a living experiment running at planetary scale. Deep time will record its outcome without judgment. Layers will accumulate. Signals will persist. Future observers, if they exist, will read those layers and reconstruct what happened. They will see a long era of biological evolution, then a sudden transition, then whatever comes next. That transition is the story of civilization. It is not ancient. It is not recurring. It is new. This is the answer Earth gives when asked whether civilization existed before humans. It says, no, not because it forgot, but because it remembers everything that matters. And what it remembers is that life took billions of years to cross this threshold once. What it does next will decide whether that crossing becomes a brief anomaly or the beginning of a lasting chapter in the planet's history. Deep time is patient. It will wait for the answer. And whatever the answer is, it will be written not in myth or memory, but in stone.